Father Pat is the chaplain and spiritual director for Pilgrim Center of Hope. We're happy to say that he celebrates Mass with us once a month in our Gethsemane Chapel, and he serves as a confessor at special events whenever possible, and is actively involved in giving spiritual guidance towards the ministry's mission. Father Pat currently lives and serves at his new retirement community at the Via de San Antonio as a spiritual advisor to his fellow brothers and sisters who reside there, and some of which are here seated with us. He celebrates Mass there as well and continues to serve at local parishes, including as spiritual director for the St. Padre Pio Prayer Group of San Antonio. So as Father makes his way to the stage, he will be giving us his presentation, which focuses on the redemptive power of suffering and how God redeems it all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Father Pat Martin.
Once upon a time, in a great big forest, there lived a little tiny bunny rabbit. He had one ear that stood up straight and the other one lopped over frontward. Wouldn't stand up at all. He wasn't brown and he wasn't white. He was white with brown spots. And his name was Barrington. Now Barrington Bunny had a rich, shiny, furry, warm coat like no other animal he'd ever seen in his whole bunny rabbit's life. He didn't know if all bunny rabbits were furry and warm like he was. He didn't know if all bunny rabbits had spots like he did. He didn't know if all bunny rabbits had a lob ear like he did. As far as he knew, he was the only bunny rabbit in the whole wide forest. Wintertime, we're told, is a very special time for the animals in the forest. Because with winter comes Christmas. With Christmas comes parties. The squirrels would get together and they'd have a party. The beavers would get together and they'd have a party. The field mice would get together for their party. They loved winter. Barrington Bunny hated Christmas with all that he was worth. Because with Christmas came aloneness. He had no family to gather with. Our story has it that it was Christmas Eve this year, and Barrington Bunny had decided he was sick and tired of going home to be alone. No, he decided this year he was going to stay out in the forest, play around as hard as he could, get as tired as he could. Hopefully, he thought, he'd get tired enough to fall asleep under some oak tree somewhere, tired enough to sleep straight through all that nonsense of Christmas and parties and such. And so off he started in the snow. Hip, hop, hippity hop. Well, his pathway home took him under the tallest oak tree in the whole wide forest. He couldn't believe his little bunny rabbit ears as he passed under it. Why, it's only Christmas Eve, thought Barrington Bunny to himself. And already they got one of those crazy Christmas parties going on. And then he had a thought. Hey, he hollered, you guys having a party up there? Of course, a voice came back. Doesn't everybody have a party at Christmas? Well, do you think, said Barrington, do you think I could come to your party? Well, are you a squirrel? A voice came back. Well, no, not really. Well, what are you then? Well, I'm a bunny rabbit. Well, no, that's crazy, said the squirrel, because everybody knows bunny rabbits can't climb trees. Well, I know I can't climb trees, said Barrington, but I can hip hop, hippity hop, and I get a rich, shiny, furry, warm coat that would really make your squirrel's nest nice and snug and warm if I were up there with you. Bunny rabbit, said the squirrel, I didn't know anything about those things, but if you can't climb trees, how are you going to get in our house? Oh, I never thought of that, said Barrington. Well, Merry Christmas anyway. Say Merry Christmas to the family for me. And now as the bunny rabbit hopped away, he started to wonder about the uselessness of an animal that couldn't climb trees. Well, even the ants and the flies and the bugs can climb trees, thought Barrington Bunny to himself. Why can't bunny rabbits climb trees? He was still hopping for home, pondering his uselessness, when at the center of the forest he came to the great wide riverbed. And there in the middle of the river he saw it. The neatest little house he'd ever seen in his whole bunny rabbit's life. All neatly put together of twigs and mud. It was the beaver home. And what a party they had going on inside. Laughing, singing, joke-telling, the works, everything you'd expect at a good party, the beavers had at their party. Barrington Bunny just shook with relief. I can go to the beavers' party, he thought, because there, thank God, there's no trees to climb. A wet, shiny nose was followed by a whole beaver. Took one look at the bunny rabbit and said, sure, come on in. You can come to our party. You can swim, can't you? Oh, no, said Barrington. I can't swim, but I can hop and I'm furry and warm. Bunny rabbit, I don't know anything about those things, but if you can't swim, how are you going to get in our house? Oh, I never thought of that, said Barrington. Say Merry Christmas to the family. Just goodbye. And he started to hop away, but now he was crying his head off as he hopped. Bunny rabbits, he thought to himself, just have to be the most useless creature God ever created. They can't climb trees, they can't swim, they're no good at all. Good for nothing. He's still hopping for home, wondering. It was snowing pretty hard. He wondered if he'd even find his way home now, but now he didn't even care what was home if he had nobody to share it with. But all of a sudden, from underneath the snow, he heard it. The excited chatter of field mice. Another party. Barrington Bunny just shook with relief. I can go to the field mouse party, he thought, because there, thank God, there's no trees to climb and no water to swim in. Was it the wind howling? Or maybe it was the noise of the snow falling. Or maybe it was Barrington Bunny's own sobbing. Whatever it was, they didn't hear him when he hollered. And when he got no answer to his call, he laid right down in the snow and began to cry. He cried, he cried, he cried, he chewed on his paw, and he cried some more. And finally he knew what he was going to do. Or you might say, what he was not going to do anymore. He decided he was not going to take one single more bunny rabbit hop. No, sir, he was sick and tired of going home to be alone. If going on living meant going on living alone, well, then he just wanted to die. He decided he was going to stay there in the snow, let the falling snow pile up around him. Hopefully soon he'd be buried, he'd freeze to death, and, well, then it would be all over. He lay there in the falling snow an awfully long time. Hoped it wouldn't be too awfully long before he'd be completely buried and it would be all over. But all of a sudden, as he lay there in the falling snow, he became frightfully aware that he wasn't alone. It took him a long time to dare lift his little bunny rabbit head and peer out through those little bunny rabbit eyes. But when he did, there it was standing right smack in front of him. The great, the majestic, the awesome silver wolf. A more majestic animal, a more awesome beast Barrington Bunny knew he had never seen in his whole bunny rabbit's life. The fur of that great silver wolf just glistened in the new falling snow. And his eyes, oh, they weren't dull lights. They were rich, fiery, flaming, alive eyes. And they were focused right on the bunny rabbit. The minute the wolf caught the bunny rabbit's eye, he began to speak. Barrington, he said. Barrington didn't answer. He was too scared. Barrington, why are you crying? Said the wolf. I'm crying, said Barrington, because I just want to die. Bunny rabbits are no good. We're no good at all. Good for nothing. Useless showpieces in the forest. I just wish I could die. That's not true at all, said the wolf. Bunny rabbit, can you name me one other animal in this whole wide forest that can hip-hop, hippity-hop like you do? How about another animal, Barrington, that's got a rich, shiny, furry, warm coat like you do? Those are gifts, Barrington. But there's only one way that we discover our gifts, and that's when we give them away. What good is it, said Barrington? What good is it to have all the gifts in the world if you get nobody to give them to? Look, it's Christmas. Squirrels, they got a family for their gifts. The beavers, they got a family for their gifts. The field mice, they got family. I got no family. I'm all alone. You gotta be sick, said the wolf. The whole animal kingdom is your family. As he said family, he disappeared. Barrington Bunny had only blinked his little bunny rabbit eyes. When he opened them, the wolf was gone. At first he was sure he'd been hallucinating, dreaming. But his tears were gone. And not only were his tears gone, but he found himself excited, hopping around in a circle, repeating everything the wolf had said. And suddenly he knew what he was going to do. Right back to the clearing he went, where he dug and dug feverishly all night long in the snow, till finally he came up with it. 2 gifts. The first gift was a great big long stick, which he cleaned off meticulously. Every piece of dirt and grit and ice and sand and snow, he cleaned that stick off shining smooth, and he brought it to the beaver house, where without a sound, he leaned it up against the house and left it with a note. Dear beavers, the note read, here's a gift, a free gift, a gift to brace your beaver house and make it nice, sturdy, and strong against this winter's blizzards, winds, and chills. Merry Christmas, beavers, from a member of your family who sure does love you. And off he hopped quick, hoping the beavers wouldn't discover who had left their gift. Right back to the clearing he went, where he picked up his second gift, a great big clump of dried up leaves and grass. Every blade of grass, every leaf he cleaned off, spick and span clean. And he brought the whole great big clump to the foot of that great oak tree, where he left it with another note. Dear squirrels, this note read, here's a gift, a free gift, a gift to pack your squirrel's nest and make it nice, cozy, snug, and warm against this winter's blizzards, winds, and cold. Merry Christmas, squirrels, from a member of your family who sure does love you. And again, off he hopped quick, hoping the squirrels wouldn't discover their gift bearer. He was quite excited as he hopped for home now. He had given a couple of gifts away, and that just made him so excited. But all of a sudden, as he hopped in the blinding snow, at first he wasn't sure he heard it. He stopped. He cocked his head. He listened. Squeak, squeak, he had heard. Squeak, squeak. He began to look around. He looked everywhere. Finally, there it was, the tiniest little field mouse he had ever seen in his whole bunny rabbit's life. The poor little creature was maybe a day old, or 2 days, a week old at the very most. And the poor little thing was crying its head off. Help, it was hollering, help! Somebody help me find my way home. Please, somebody help me, I'm lost. And 3 of the biggest bunny rabbit hops you've ever seen, Barrington Bunny was right next to that little tiny field mouse. Don't worry about a thing, he said. I'm a bunny rabbit, and we bunny rabbits can hop. I'm gonna put you on my back. We'll hop all over the forest. We find your home, I'll put you down. Don't worry about a thing. No, said the field mouse. Can't you see I'm shivering to death now? I'll freeze to death on your back. No, somebody else help me. Please, somebody help me. Did you know, said Barrington, did you know that we bunny rabbits have a rich, shiny, furry, warm coat? I'm gonna lay right down on top of you. You snuggle up. Go to sleep in my fur. Get nice, cozy, and warm. In the morning, after you've slept in there nice and warm, then I'll pick you up and put you on my back. We'll find your way home. Don't worry about a thing. And without giving the field mouse even a chance to answer, he laid right down on top of him. He was so excited as he felt the panicky breath of the field mouse go to a nice, calm, breathing right off to sleep there in his own fur. He had only two thoughts that Christmas Eve night as he lay there, keeping that little tiny field mouse alive and well and warm. It's good to be a bunny rabbit, he thought, because we sure do have some special gifts. I mean, we can hop, we're furry and warm. And his second thought was, yeah, the whole family, the whole animal kingdom is my family. You can't imagine how excited the field mouse family was the next morning when they came out looking for their little lost brother and found him alive and well and warm beneath the furry carcass of a frozen dead bunny rabbit. Well, you know, they were so excited that their little brother was alive and well and warm. Not one of them even bothered to question where that frozen dead bunny rabbit had come from. The squirrels and the beavers, it's said they still chatter idly every Christmas about who left the gifts that famous Christmas, but they were so excited about the things they got, none of them even bothered to read the notes that the giver had left. It was only a great, big, majestic, awesome silver wolf who stood behind a clump of trees all that Christmas Eve night and watched it happen. At first he'd been rather impressed when he saw the bunny rabbit dig up a stick for the beavers and leaves and grass for the squirrels. That bunny rabbit's got a head on his shoulders, thought the wolf to himself. But then when he saw the bunny rabbit lay down, the wolf knew that the winter's worst blizzard was on, that if the bunny rabbit didn't keep moving, he'd freeze to death. But he didn't know what to do. If he went and pushed the bunny rabbit away to make him move, he'd still frighten that little field mouse to death. If he went and lay down on the two of them to keep them both warm, the sheer weight of his own body would kill them both. And not knowing what to do, that great, big, majestic, awesome silver wolf stood behind that clump of trees all that Christmas Eve night and cried his eyes out as he watched the noblest of his little brothers give his very life as a gift to keep a littler brother alive and well and warm. A children's folktale? No. It's your story and mine. Whenever we moan and groan, I'm all alone. I can't do anything. I'm useless. Our name is Barrington. How beautiful it is when a great silver wolf comes into our lives, God, and reminds us of the gifts we are and the gifts we have for our world. There is no moment when we can't be a gift for others. We don't make that decision. He does. If we only listen to God, we discover gifts we didn't even know that we had. What a gift. What a gift. Blinded since 9 years old, I wondered what there was in life for me. I watched older brothers and sisters grow up and find their way in life. I just looked ahead. There was no road for me. There was nothing that I could do. But God had his hand on my shoulder and guided me even though I didn't know it. I read the lives of some of the saints who just knew God from infancy. I wish that was me, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I was blind 17 years. I was now at the university getting a master's degree in library science. And one night, completely by accident, I used to say. I discovered talking books and other things I could have used all my blind life, but had known nothing about. And then I got a visit from Robert S. Bray, God rest him. He was the chief of the Library of Congress Division for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. He had heard about this blind brother who had just discovered talking books, things he could have used through all his education, but had known nothing about them. And now he came to see me at the university, and he said to me, "What do I have to do to get you into this work full time?" Oh, I said, "I can't. I'm a brother of Christian instruction. We teach. I'm getting my master's degree to become librarian for one of our schools." He said, "I don't give a hoot about your schools. You went 17 years without these services, and you're one of 10 million out there who don't know about them. We need somebody to get out there and find them." He said, "I go out and speak." And they say, "Well, that's fine for you, Mr. Bray. You're not blind." He said, "They wouldn't be able to say that to you." Robert S. Bray, 1970, was the first human being who told me that perhaps my blindness could be a gift, not a detriment, but a gift for our world. What a challenge. With his help, I got the job working with the New York Public Library. It was my job to go all over the 5 boroughs of the city, the 2 counties of Long Island, to find the disabled like myself and help them find talking books and other things. What a gift. What a gift. I worked there. And then one day, one of my bosses, one of the big muckamucks in the city, called me up and she said, "I'm sending Mary Engels from the New York Daily News down to interview you. We want to do your story in the paper." I said, "Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need the publicity." And I hung up on my boss. But those were the days before redial and all that. But she redialed that phone faster than any automatic redial could ever do it. I heard her voice and she said to me, "I don't remember asking you any questions. You came here to spread services for the handicapped. Your story in the paper will do just that. Mary Engels is on her way down. You better cooperate." And she hung up. Mary Engels did one of the most beautiful stories that's ever been done on my work. I still remember the headline, "Brother Martin's Mission to Spread the Recorded Word." What a gift. That one article brought 165 new users of talking books. People who could have been using them who hadn't known anything about them till a relative read them the story in the paper. What a gift. What a gift. I worked for the library for a few years and went freelance because my work was calling me all over this country and Canada and whatnot. And so I eventually moved up with the invitation of Bishop Daniel Patrick Riley of the Diocese of Norwich. I moved to Diocese of Norwich. He got a special permission from now St. Paul VI for me to be ordained a blind priest, to bring not only talking books, but God's love to the broken of this world all over. I said to my bishop, "Are you going to assign me to a parish?" He said, "Patrick, I'm ordaining you for your work, not to take you away from it. Your parish," he said, "it's the whole world. Get out and find the broken like yourself who know nothing about God's love and help them discover it." What a gift. What a gift. My travels took me up to Eastern Canada, And there I preached a mission, and then I got a call from the warden of a federal prison. Father, is there any way you could come to our prison? I just got one inmate that I want you to meet. I said, sure. He said, I'll pick you up. So he picked me up and brought me to the prison. And there, he said, you gotta go to solitary confinement. I said, who is this prisoner? Oh, he said, he's a young man, early 20s, but the bitterest human being I've ever met, filled with anger and hate and bitterness. Bitter against his parents for not sheltering him from the law when he got caught. Bitter against the law. Bitter against everybody, and of course that's bitter against all of us here at the prison. He's a danger to himself, and he's a danger to his fellow prisoners. We've now got him in solitary confinement. But the problem is nobody can talk to him. He won't listen. He's just angry, angry, angry. He said, when I heard your mission, I thought, I wonder if this blind priest could touch this kid. Well, I said, I'd be happy to go in. I used the white cane in those days, and he said, oh no, you can't bring your cane with you because that could be a lethal weapon. I said, oh. And he said, no, I can't go in with you because if I go in, he's going to clam right up. He won't talk. I said, how in the heck am I going to get in there? He said, I'll start you on the road, and then the guard in a tower who can see down, he'll guide you and tell you when to turn left and right. You know, that's interesting. Prison GPS. I walked into the prison and I started walking down, cells on both sides, and turn right, Father, no, turn left here, go straight ahead there, and he guided me till finally I walked right in to the solitary confinement cell. There was an empty cell, no furniture, nothing. Just a young man leaning against the wall, hands in his pockets, feet out at a 45-degree angle, just leaning against the wall. No shirt, no shoes, no socks, just a pair of blue jeans. His hands were stuffed into his pockets. But the minute he saw me come in, he started to scream, you can get the blankety blank out of here. I don't need no reverend talking to me. Get out, get out, get out. And he started to scream. I let him scream. Jesus said, when we're put on trial, we don't have to worry what we're going to say. He'll give us the words. He sure did that day. I let him go on for a while, and finally I said to him, would you shut up? Fist came out, ready, clenched, ready to attack. But before he could attack with his fists, I attacked with words, his words. I said to him, you want to get out of this prison? Change your attitude. You change your attitude, and you can walk out from this prison a free man. Some of us live behind bars we can't walk out from. He sneered, what the heck do you know about living behind bars? I said, you know, when I get a letter and can't read it, I know what it's like to live behind bars. When I can't recognize my own dear mother on the sidewalk, I know what it's like to live behind bars. When I get a call for help and I can't go because I can't drive a car. And I went on with examples without ever using the word blind. Finally, he interrupted me with a totally different voice. And he said, you got trouble with your eyes, Reverend? I said, yeah, I'm blind. I watched him slide down that wall, right to the floor. He buried his head in his hands, and he cried, and he cried. I let him cry for a good while, alone. And then I went over and sat on the floor right next to him. We talked and talked and talked for an hour and a half. I have no idea who he was. He has no idea who I was. For security reasons, we weren't allowed to exchange any of that information, and that was fine with me. But I know when I left that prison that day that I left a totally different young man than I had found there. I often wonder what's become of him, but I have no fear. His life changed that day because he met a blind priest. Wow. It was a few months later. I was asked to give an address at a high school. The principal had attended one of the missions I did, and he had called and said, "Father, I'll give you all the time you need. Would you come and give that mission to my kids in one sitting?" I said, "Well, I'll do my best." So I got to the school, and there were 600 kids on wooden bleachers. The faculty was down at the end, and I was out in the middle of an empty gym floor looking up at them. And I spoke for about an hour and a half. When I finished, those kids rose to their feet, and one of the most beautiful standing ovations I've ever got. It was absolutely beautiful. When I got home that night, I'll never forget, in my prayer, I said to God, the student who had thanked me for coming to the school had said, "Father Pat, we want to thank you today for being blind. We want to thank you for being blind." Would you thank somebody for having cancer? Would you thank somebody for having a broken marriage? Would you thank somebody for having lost their spouse or lost a child? He thanked me for being blind. In my prayer that night, I said to God, how could Eric Perez have the audacity to thank me for being blind? It wasn't my choice. And then God spoke with a beautiful picture. I saw myself at the foot of a mountain looking up. And ahead of me on that mountain were 3 men climbing, each one carrying a cross. The 2 on the edges, kicking, screaming, cursing, all the way up. The one in the middle, embracing his cross and walking up, taking time to comfort the women, letting another help him. And God let me feast on that beautiful picture for a while. And then he said to me, "You see, Patrick, the world dumps crosses on all my people. The world dumps suffering on all my people. The world seeks to destroy all my people. But when you, with my love, embrace, accept, and even love what the world does to you, then you can be thanked for it. Just as you thank my son for the cross the world dumped on him. He accepted, loved, and turned that cross into the gift of redemption for all humanity. You can do the same, Patrick. Blindness can just be something you wish had never happened to you. embrace it and make it the gift of your whole life. Wow. What a gift. What a gift. I dedicated one of my books to my greatest friend, my greatest teacher, my blindness. My blindness has taught me so much about suffering. God doesn't give us our suffering. I was just 10 years old and bumped into a post and it smarted and I cried. A lady there in my father's workshop had stopped her instructions to Dad about a piece of furniture she wanted built. And she turned to me and she said, "When you grow up, you're going to see why God made you blind." Imagine telling a 10-year-old child that it's God who made him blind, and then expecting that child to fall head over heels in love with that God. God didn't leave me in the error of her thinking too long. Was it a day later, 2 days, 2 weeks? I don't remember. All I remember is one night watching my dear mom putting all of us little ones to bed for the night. And it suddenly dawned on my 10-year-old brain, Mom wouldn't have made me blind. Could she be better than God? That woman said that God made me blind. And yet the mother he gave me would have never made me blind. Dad wouldn't have made me blind. He worked his heart out his life for me. That woman who said that God had made me blind, she would have never made me blind. She thinks she's better than God. That's when my vocation to preach God's love to this broken, unbelieving world was really born. 65 years ago. I just get all bent out of shape when I hear people blame God for their sufferings. And we blame him even piously, huh? Oh, well, God won't give you more than you can handle. Oh, God gives us our crosses. We have to carry them. It's hogwash. It's not scripture. And it's not truth. When Jesus hung on the cross, he didn't thank his Father for the cross. He blamed us for it and begged the Father to forgive us. If the cross was from his Father, he had nothing to forgive us for. The cross wasn't from his Father. It was from us. That blindness has taught me a lot. And it's made me look at other sufferings that come into my life and look at them with a different eye. 6 years ago, I came down with sciatica, and they gave me medication that beautifully took away the pain. But just as beautifully, without my knowing it, burned 3 holes in my stomach. I ended up bleeding to death. I was in a hospital in Connecticut, 3 weeks, 32 bags of blood in 3 weeks. My only prayer those 3 weeks, very beautifully, the prayer of my life, Mary, help me see God's love for me in this today. Mary, help me see God's love for me today. I never prayed for the doctors to find the bleeding. All I prayed was that no matter what happened, I would see God's love. Ultimately, they found the source of the bleeding and were able to stop it. But by then I'd lost 40 pounds. Couldn't stand up anymore. Couldn't even sit up. my sister, who had come for my funeral, took me back with her to her home here in San Antonio, Texas. There at St. Anthony Claret Parish, she found a doctor in the parish who said, I'll be his doctor. And God bless Dr. Gibbs. He got specialists and whatnot needed to work with me and got me back on my feet. And that was, but all through it, my only prayer, God, Mary, help me see God's love for me today. I've seen his love so powerfully. Yep, since then I'd go with a walker and whatnot. Help me see God's. I don't pray for God to take away my suffering. I'm not saying that's bad to do it. I'm just saying I don't. All I ask is, Mary, help me see God's love for me in this suffering. I found a peace that all the suffering in the world can't touch. I pray that prayer every day. 41 years I've prayed it now. A year and a half ago, my kidney doctor, I've got bad blood pressure, and so he wanted to check my kidney arteries. Thank God he went in. And the kidney arteries were the least of his findings, so he discovered a huge cancerous tumor attached to my one and only kidney. What could they do? Ordinarily they would take out the kidney, but that would leave me with nothing. Dialysis. They couldn't treat it with chemotherapy because that would destroy the kidney. So they went in with needles, guided by robots. I just love modern medicine. Robots guided the needles right into the tumor, and they microwaved it. The same way you microwave a cup of coffee. It was wild. I said to the doctor, what if it comes back? He said, we'll cook it again. That was a year and a half ago. This is incredible, my sisters and brothers, what God can do with our broken lives if we let him. If we let him. He turns everything into gift. You know, I moved 9 months ago to the Villa de San Antonio, the Villa de San Antonio. I'd been asked to go down and celebrate a mass for them. And I said, sure, when's your mass? Well, they said, every day. I've worked with the elderly, the handicapped for over 40 years. I've been in hundreds of homes around the U.S., Canada, Ireland, Northern Ireland. Most of them, 99% of them, have mass once a month. Once a month. And the other Sundays, Eucharistic ministers bring communion to the elderly. I said, when do you have it? She said, every day. I said, wow, I got to come and see that place. Well, she brought me there to visit. My sister and brother-in-law came. The chapel, not a step. Not a rug to trip on. Totally, beautifully accessible. You got to come and visit. You got to come and visit the Villa de San Antonio. It's absolutely beautiful. And then we had lunch. Well, it wasn't an institution where they bring out your tray. No. Everybody has a menu. The menu changes every day. It's a restaurant. Absolutely wonderful. During the meal, I turned to my sister and I said, I'm moving in here. She cried. She said, I'd been with her for 6 years by that time. And she said, I thought you were going to be with us to your dying day. And I said, that was my plan. I think he's got another plan. And what a plan it was. I begged God that if I moved there, it would be a gift not only for me, but for his people. You know, we all have our walkers. We all have our rollators, whatever you call these things. But what a gift, my sisters and brothers, living there at the Villa de San Antonio. I absolutely love it. This is my 9th month, and I guess I'll be there till I'm 186 or so. But what a gift not to be there as a pastor, and I'm there as one of the residents. And what a gift it is. A lot of them are here with me today, and I'm just so honored and excited to be here with my fellow residents, with all of you. The world calls us seniors. The world calls us retired. Ain't no such thing. Don't ever forget Moses lived to be over 100 when he guided the people. Abraham, how many 100 years old when he was told that his wife would bear him a son. I mean, God's no respecter of age. He doesn't put people out to pasture like the world does. I'll guarantee every single one of you start praying every morning. Just ask his mother, help me see God's love for me today. Ask her. She's going to help you see his love in ways, people, places you never dreamed. And it's his love that will give purpose to your life. I don't care what sufferings the world dumps on you. You're going to discover that he redeems our lives from destruction. It's my favorite verse in the entire Bible. Psalm 103, verse 4. He redeems my life from destruction. He does not give us the destruction. He does not permit the destruction. He doesn't have a purpose for the destruction. That's the world's many ways of blaming God. No. God looks at what the world does to us and says, how can I turn it into good? I call God the master recycler. When you go out, you'll see my table out there somewhere.
They're waving, Father. They're at the Pilgrim Center of Hope table.
Okay. And there are books there. You just pick them up. There's no price tag. And you enjoy them and leave whatever offering you can. That just helps keep the work going. Please ignore the addresses on them. When I got the cancer, my bishop suggested, he said, Pat, you've worked for the diocese 46 years. The least we owe you is a decent retirement. And so he gave me the retirement, but that closed up our Ave Maria place and closed up all my support system. So those addresses, you just ignore them. The only addresses you keep, you got two little flyers when I came in this morning. One with the He Loves Me song on it, and one with the rosary on it. And both of those have the prayer, Mary, help me see God's love for me today. And they have my current address. It's my sister who takes care of my mail. So that's everything. I thank you so much, and I'm so privileged to have been a part of you this morning.